Saw.
The emphatic S makes its first appearance.
بدل.
بدل.
صا. بصل. بص. بصل. بس ضد. ض. بص. بص ض. ض. ض. ضد. بدل. بص. ض. بصل. ض.
So, welcome back to Language Institute. I'm your VerbAlly. Today I would like to... Hi, Levi. Today I would like to focus on languages with verb-initial word order. What's the word? Discord. Which will include Irish. Let's do that next. Just a handful in our sample. Look at that. Genitive is our theme. Excellent.
بيا ماترا.
So I don't see any change in the form. Looks like just food and the word dog. But it means a dog's food. Bia and chat. But here we see a difference in form. Chat. How does it go? I think cot is C-A-T spelled the same. What is nominative singular of cat in Beyond hot. So this is definite and it is genitive. The cat's food. If the term genitive is new to you, it's the case that a noun will take when it marks a possessor. Let's take a break. So, yeah, okay, indeed. Beer and hot.
Beer and hot.
Beer and hot. Beer and got. Alright, so with generative singular and not got. The nominative singular is just caught, like English. Yeah, good. That's what I thought. Be a got. Plural cats. The cat's food. Be in the madri. Is this one dog or many? It does look like that.
Madre de Vic.
De Vic. Double possession marking. Madre is the head noun. Dog of your son. Your son's dog. Kot mo Vic. with lenition. Hatte nevar. Looks like genitive plural to me. So it's the men's hat. Hatti plural. Hattefyr. Looks like a plural one, but it's genitive singular. A man's hat.
Leabhar a mic.
Now, a mic like that mean her. When it doesn't mutate it, I think it means her son's book. Madri could be the plural or genitive. Both a slenderized form of the word. Is that what they are, though? Slenderized. What's being slenderized? Makanir, right? Makanir. So that's Makan. Basically, fear. H tells us to cancel the F. The man's singular possessor son. And this mak, of course, is familiar to English speakers from many, many Celtic family names. Is it really meaningful to say slenderized form of a word? I take slender really to be a feature of consonants. Caught on. Is it lenited or plain? I think it's lenited.
Bia an wadra.
The dog's food.
Hatte a nir.
Nir. Hatte a nir. The man's.
Cuit na bhar.
Put navar. Think genitive plural. The men's cats plural. Put navar.
Isce na madri.
Ishke namadri. The dogs. Would it be the same form? The dog's water. One dog or many dogs.
Leabhar leabharlanne.
Books of a library. Lanye. That one's singular.
Níl mo chuid hataí agam.
Níl mochud hati agam. Is this the word like my share of hats? My proportion. So I don't have my hats. Does this work as a partitive? I don't have my hats. Share of hats. The words often have a more slender vibe to them. The addition of E or changing of the vowel as in fear. Far, fear. Kot, kat, koch is a common way of forming the genitive in the plural. Slender vibe to them. But is slender used, is it properly applied to words or just to consonants? We have an interdental consonant, we have two interdental consonants in English. Would we say that we have interdental words? Injal torg, agus a good brog. His share, his or her. Agus a good brog. I think it's his. Injaltar engineers and is this there maybe? And their shoes. Wow. A good brog. So a good for their portion. Makes sense that it nasalizes. By the way, what are the Paninian morphs underlying in genitive of cat?
Do chuid airgid.
Well, many words increase the number of slender segments in them as a derivational strategy. As such, it does not seem like a stretch to me. Okay. But my question is it generally applied to words? I really don't know. It seems a little suspicious, but maybe it is. I think, though, doesn't seem, okay, but I guess that answers the question. So what are let's look at the equivalents of these genitive forms in other languages. Specifically, do you know the Latin cognate of fare? De chuid airgid. That is your share of money. So your money.
Bia na béalainne.
Probably one restaurant. And it's definite. The restaurant's food.
An bhfuil a chuid airgid agat?
An bhfuil a chuid airgid agat. Do you have, this is feminine possessor. Do you have her share of money? Do you have her money?
Aber scoile.
Scoile, is that school? Work of the school. Work of a school, yeah. Nus for genitive, right. And the plural? Wir is exactly right. I think it's useful to hold on to wir for this fare, because it lets us remember, that helps me at least, to remember the right forms for the Irish cases. So in Latin, we're just looking at two cases today. Latin has nominative, let's move that over one, genitive forms, singular, plural, plural. Weedy, omitting length marks, virum, I think, virorum, virorum. Singular nominative is vir, from an older veros, and viri is the genitive. And now in Irish, let's reproduce this chart, but with different members. It's far, and genitive singular. I didn't construct this chart terribly well. This is fir. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. And in the plural, it's fir and far, I believe. Which looks confusing. It's hard to really analyze these into morphemes. Really hard to do that for Irish, actually. But in Latin, they were still separable suffixes. The stem didn't change in this case, unless there was some difference in vowel length. But if you just remember where the E suffix goes to these two, nominative plural, genitive singular, that's where you get the mutation and slenderization of the R. And if you have a non-palatal suffix in Latin, you don't have slenderization. Exactly, So in that nagot, the reason it's not kuch, even though it's plural, or goch, is because it was an ohom in Indo-European, which didn't have a front vowel in it. Oper scolia is a work of a school. School work. Ka will the chut airgid. Where is your share of money?
Iasc na béalainne.
Yeah, that's the restaurant's fish.
Cut na scoile.
Scoile. The school's cat.
Mochad airgid.
My share of money.
Airgid na leabharlanne.
The library's money. Our good leabhar. That's our share of food. Share of book. Our book. Interesting that it needs this kuch noun. Our books. That's the ahom form, the am form. Makes sense. Huh.
Bíochláir na Béalainne.
Bíochláir na Béalainne. The restaurant's menu. Calgary, my friend, 250 crowns. Was just stopping by yesterday. Felt bad to have to leave so soon. Let's go back to Arabic for a minute. The kuj being a measure word, I don't think so. I think it's a noun, and from its position in the clause, it makes sense to regard it as the head noun. If it was a measure word, or as also known as a classifier, I would want to see it with some numerals first before I said that. Numerals are a determiner. Well, we do have these possessive determiners, but some kind of deictic I'd want to see it with. A portion of books. Why don't they just say my books? Or our books in that example. Maybe they're equivalent, maybe it's an option. But with money, my sense is that there's an amount of money that's spread across the world. Well, I think so. I think that's the case. Since there's money all over the world, you can't have all of it. You just can have a part of the money that is out there. Maybe it's true of books too. Yeah, let's see some more data when we continue that unit in Irish. T-shirt. There is no picture of a t-shirt, so...
Tennura.
Doubled N there, a little hard to see. See the shedda, which looks like a W above the noon letter?
Tennura.
You can hear it clearly, I think.
Tennura.
Washah.
Wishah.
Oui. It's got the little kasra mark. And T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Shirt. This phoneme only in loanwords is my impression. Image does not look quite right because it's not a t-shirt. Skirt. Tennura.
Tennura.
Feminine noun.
عندي تنورة وتيشيرت.
Another thing that speaks against it being a measure word is languages tend to either be such that they have classifiers or they have gender. There are cases where both systems coincide, but that's quite rare. And since Irish has gender, I think it's not going to be a classifier. Well, although we haven't used measure, of course, English doesn't have gender, really. Very, very marginally.
عندي تنورة وتيشيرت.
عندي. There is.
عندي.
I have. Interesting that it's marked with the E, which seems proper to nouns. Is it a verb? Is that the same marker in a verb form? E for I? Just looked like it for a moment. I mean, it could be, but I see that those are just my arguments against it.
عندي تنورة وتيشيرت.
What t-shirt? I have a skirt and a t-shirt.
عندي تيشيرت جديد.
Those are cognates, by the way. Skirt and shirt.
عندي تيشيرت جديد. عندي
t-shirt it's got
تي
2 words.
شيرت
جديد. I have a new t-shirt.
جديد
Until here, it's a masculine noun. Scarf. وشاح.
وشاح
شاح. The raspy H.
هل عندك تي شيرت يا سام؟
هل عندك تي-شيرت يا سام؟
هل عندك تي شيرت يا سام؟
عندك. Do you have? Do you have a t-shirt, Sam?
عندك وشاح يا جودي.
عندك وشاح يا جودي. It looks like عندك, an ik suffix for a feminine addressee and an ak suffix for a male addressee.
عندك وشاح يا جودي.
Do you have a scarf, Judy? You have, it's not a question. That would have a hal in front.
عند سيف تنورة.
And this has no subject expressed, I think. But what's Saith? Oh no, this is the subject. And a 0 suffix. Seth has a skirt.
عندك تنورة يا رانيا.
Rania, feminine name, so this checks out. Tenura, you have a skirt. Rania,
عندك تنورة يا سامية.
you have a skirt. Samia,
هل عندك تي شيرت ووشاح يا سام؟
هل عندك تيشيرت ووساح يا Sam? This is a question one. It's also got the question mark. Do you have a t-shirt and a scarf? Sam.
عندك وشاح يا بوب.
عندك وشاح يا بوب. You have a scarf, Bob.
عندك تي شيرت يا سامية.
عندك feminine addressee. You have a t-shirt. Yes, Samia.
عندي وشاح.
I have a scarf.
عند سيف تنورة جديدة.
I didn't have to click there every time. That's kind of annoying. And
عند سيف تنورة جديدة.
Saith Tenura Jadida. Feminine noun with agreement. Seth has Tenura Jadida, a new skirt.
عند سيف وشاح.
Seth has a scarf.
عندي بيت جميل.
I have a beautiful house.
عندك وشاح يا جودي.
عندك وشاح يا جودي. Declarative, you click, you have a scarf, Judy.
Rihan an cut timpeall na Béalainne.
Is this a preposition? The cat runs something the restaurant around. And what case is this going to be? A dative, maybe? Dative or accusative? The cat runs around the restaurant. It's not a genitive, though, I don't think. Could be, actually. Could be like a prepositional noun. Timpo, that would make sense. like when we say the perimeter of the restaurant.
Tá an cut os cóir an níor.
Tá an cut os cóir an níor. Os cóir in front of. What's this coming from? Calm hair. By the way, I noticed something interesting in English phonetics, American speech. Let's see, what was the example? Okay, and barter, the rule for when a T weakens, T to a flap or tap sound, is that it's between an accent, after a stressed vowel leading into a weak syllable. This is if it's solo consonant, if it's not part of any cluster. And it goes further than that in the word barter. For me at least, the T weakens. Not barter, it's a bit strange sounding, but barter. But if you replace the R in that kind of a cluster with an L, well, we don't have a word balter, but falter, there the lenition, the weakening, is not permitted for me. Do you agree, Levi? You find the same thing true of your speech? Oh yeah, I'm looking up kower. And this is a noun, or a verb, or a noun. The os is probably the prepositional part. In front of, before, opposite. As a noun, only used in fi gower, I gower, and os kower. Possibly this is a different one. Kommer in Old Irish. Kor. Just a long O, kor. Alright, not going to get much. What other words look like this? There's a verb, count, calculate. See the etymology of the main entry. Not telling me much here. No meaning given, but a mini paradigm. Okay, a little wanting. Ta and cut os kor anir. The cat is. This is the singular man. The cat is opposite the man, in front of the man.
Téan an buachal timpeall na leabharlanne.
Téan an buachal timpeall na leabharlanne. This is the verb go. The boy goes around the library.
Tá an scoil os cóir na béalainne.
Tá an scoil os cóir na béalainne. The school is in front of the restaurant. It's true for me as well. I wonder why it does not work on falter. Other words with a coda L first syllable so we can compare. Okay. Filter. Kilter. Helter skelter. Shelter is a good word on its own. Poltergeist. Well, what do you think? What could be a good sort of physiological, articulatory phonetic reason that this T after L doesn't lenite, whereas the one after R does? Let's also think about W and Y. Shouter. Lenites. And hater. But maybe a clearer diphthong would be good there. Oiter. Goiter. It's spelled R-E. Goiter. So that has an ow with a W glide. Lenition happens. And with the Y glide, I chose the oi because it's not just arising from the vowel itself, but there's a sequence of sounds. Goiter. What are some other consonants we might adduce? So the N is special. Can we get an MT cluster? We can get it across a compound boundary, maybe. A whole set of them. Try saying it. Whole set of what? LT ones, try saying it. Difficult to do with a tab. I agree, yeah. Falter. Folder. So what do you think might be the reason that the lenition is blocked? I've got an idea, but I don't want to just dictate everything. Ta and far oskor na liaurlinje. That is the man, that's the subject, and far. Verb first, that means he is temporarily, is oskor na liaurlinje. Opposite the library. Abray.
Rihan na múntarí timpeall na scoile.
Rihin na múntarí timpeall na scoile. And that's plural teachers, the teachers, definite, run. Timpeall was around the school. Around the school. Because something to do with the tongue already being in place. You can't just tap the alveolar ridge. Can is difficult if you're already there. I think that is it too. I agree completely. The L, the tongue tip really is touching. Now, there are L codas, historical L codas, where that's no longer true, like call, especially for some dialects of English. Many places all over the world, actually, will weaken that L. Call, column, or where would you see it? Cool, where it's a velarized or a W-like sound. Cool. So if we do it at a word boundary, can we find any compounds where we have L meeting T at the boundary of the components? So something like full time. How about an R and a T? Full time that's really not applicable because the time part is the main stress. Actually, I want at a compound boundary. R plus T in the middle, so to speak. What have we got there? Far time. That's not a word. What's the word? Before time. Yeah, that's clearly got a secondary stress on the time. Before time. Doesn't work. 14, 40. So that's an interesting comparison for the T. Tree is a tree. Tree is not a consonant. T is a really interesting one as far as the way it shows up on the surface in American English. It's all over the place. Compare before time with what do we got there? Horticulture. The culture part isn't what I'm interested in, but that little transition. Before time. This shows us that time has a bit of stress on it. Like I said, the secondary one. The main one is on for in that word. The T doesn't lenite, but it's not to do with the R that precedes. Whereas in horticulture, single word, not a compound in English. An extra time. Felton. That is what you were looking for? I mean, Felton is historically a compound. Some first component, probably a name, and then ton, as in town, a weakened form. But I wouldn't call it a compound synchronically because it has no connection to ton, the unit of weight, or anything. Sortum. I say sortum, even though it's across a word boundary. The T is within the same word as the R. Sortum. Okay, but after N, what happens? Let's compare now the LT versus RT treatment with what happens when you have an N and a T meeting, where the first of those two syllables is the stressed one, leading into a weak. So, what do we have there? Some kind of comparative, maybe. Benter doesn't really exist, but there's got to be something like that there. Silenter isn't a word. Splinter. Splinter is a word. I in my speech feel there's an option. Santa. Exactly, the T goes away. Or is it that it's a tap and it's just a hard one to hear? Splinter is another. Santa. Some people say Santa and sometimes Santa. Splinter, splinter. What you don't get is a D sound. Splinder. Whereas ND, the D has to stay. Ender. This is a game ender. We can't say game enter. Ender can only be ENTER. Isn't that interesting? That it's the voiceless one that can drop, but the voiced one has to stay? I think it's really fascinating. Can we get eng, T, and MT sequences? Probably only in compounds. Singing time. Wrong stress pattern. Something like fang tooth. There's no chance that that T is going to weaken. Fangdeth. Ouch. Okay, let's add a third verb-initial language. We have Welsh. Cymraeg. That nice trilled R. Cymraeg. And isn't it interesting that the Celtic languages and Arabic, which are all verb-initial ones, they have the same pattern for genitive construction? Well, roughly the same. There is no marking in... I shouldn't say that. There is, sort of on the margin of Arabic, enter versus inter. That's a very nice contrast. Dig it. Haha, dig, inter. That's what you do, you dig it. So with enter, different treatments. Even though L and N are both dental consonants, double alveolars there. Isn't it interesting that it's the L that prevents the weakening, but N allows it optionally? By the way, another Sundhi rule of English that I have observed and find fascinating, and I've chosen these two example words for it. When you say bat girl and bat boy, what do you notice about what happens on either side of the boundary of the components? What happens to the T and the G in bat girl? When he's in faster speech. In careful speech, of course, the T is a T, the G is a G. Bat girl. That's not how it's naturally spoken with any kind of tempo on it. Bat girl, bat boy. What's going on there? Magazine, a new word to me.
Party.
Party.
Gwyn.
Gwyn.
Cylchgrawn.
Cylchgrawn. Glottal stop. I suppose so. How does the G of Batgirl sound to you? It could be a glottal stop. Batgirl. Yeah? An option. Bat boy. Bat boy. But I think I hear there's a different possibility too. What I hear, at least in my own speech, is a long K in Batgirl and a long P in Batboy. Batboy, Batgirl. This sort of thing has happened in the name Leopold, historically, a German name. It's Liut, meaning people, and Bald, meaning bold, daring, strong. The T, the voicelessness carries over, and the B, the labiality, is what remains. Those T, the T and the B fuse into a P. There's also op in Hindi coming from a TM cluster, a little bit different. But again, telescoping of two segments into a single one. I think I would say like that. Bat boy, bat girl. Keep an ear open for it. To me, it seems only possible if the first component ends in a T. And then you really only notice it if the next thing has a voice stop. So it's really just these two combinations, I think. But maybe I'm overlooking something. But what's kind of cool is that you have your outcome, both consonants have changed. So they're having effects on each other, but in affecting each other, they both are replaced. Neither of the triggers remains. Unspaced. Oh yeah, Kilchgraun. Let's look up this one. It looks like a compound. I wonder what it could be. Graun, not Grain. And Kraun is the second one. Kilch is circle, ring. Look at that. It's probably related to circus in Latin. Circulus, borrowed through Vulgar Latin from circulus. And like happens in Spanish, an R became an L. Whereas crown is a store, hoard, and no derivation is given.
Ffermwr panas yw Owen.
Ffermwr panas yw Owen. So I said verb-initial, but ffermwr.
Ffermwr.
It's not a verb. Here's the verb.
Yw.
Ew. And this is either going to be a genitive or it could be an adjective.
Panas.
Wow. A farmer parsnip is Owen. Parsnip farmer. What the heck is a parsnip? Aha. It's a bleached carrot.
Da iawn.
Da iawn. Da means morning. No, it means good. Very good is what it means. Bore is morning. Very good. And it's good, very. So the modifier of both a noun and an adjective comes after the head word. Carrot, wider and larger, yeah.
Dych chi eisiau rhywbeth?
Rhywbeth. What is the Y doing? Is this a diphthong?
Dych chi eisiau rhywbeth?
Rhywbeth. Eisiau is not like, but do you want? Do you want? Here we have the verb initially. Dich.
Rhywbeth.
Something, anything. Do you want anything?
Mae hi wedi prynu blodfresych, tatws, pys a chig.
Pys a chig wedi prynu. She has bought blodfresych.
Blodfresych.
Cauliflower. Tatus, potatoes. Peas. And keeg is meat.
Chig. Pys.
Oh, interesting. Look at that. I think the conjunction is causing mutation. In Irish, you don't get that because the S never triggers lenition. Agus. But a vowel final
Chig.
apparently does. And meat. So the basic form, keeg, C-I-G. She has bought cauliflower, potatoes, peas, and meat. Oh, good. My is to be. He, the subject, she. Wedi is like already.
Wedi.
Perfective. Wedi prynu
Prynu.
is has bought.
Dwi eisiau blodfresych.
Dwi
I eisiau.
blodfresych. Oh, it's a v.
Blodfresych.
Fresych. And that's cauliflower. I want cauliflower.
Dwi eisiau coffi arall.
Arall. It's I want coffee something.
Arall.
Another. So what word class here? Determiner? I want another coffee.
Ydy hi eisiau panas neu rhywbeth arall?
Ydy hi eisiau panas neu rhywbeth arall. Another. Rhywbeth was what?
Rhywbeth.
Something else. Neu means
Neu.
or, just like no, right? What's or? Is that or in Irish? No. Do you want original carrots were purple? Nice. Do you know where that took place? I do not. Did he? This is the question procliticized form of the verb. Does she want
Panas.
parsnips or anything else?
Dych chi'n prynu car arall?
Are you buying another car? Car is a Celtic word, by the way. Guess the Netherlands. Ha ha ha. It's orange. Oranje. Oh, I don't want images. Give me all. How is where this first. Native to Europe and southwestern Asia, probably originated in Persia and originally cultivated for leaves and seeds. Nice. Oh yeah, you do see purple ones like this occasionally.
Mae Megan yn bwyta blod fresych.
My Megan, so that's the verb, the inflected one. Megan is in the buying of cauliflower. Megan buying cauliflower. Eating. Oops, buita. Not buy, that's
Sut
pretty.
dych chi, Megan? Da iawn, diolch.
Sit, question word. How are you? Same word, Megan. Very well, thanks.
Dwi eisiau 5 cylchgrawn newydd.
So, you may recall that the basic word for 5 in Welsh is pimp, P-U-M-P. But in conjunction with the following noun, we drop the final P. Happens with other numeral words too. Cylchgrawn was magazines. I want 5 new magazines. Is that what it was?
Sut dych chi, Morgan? Da iawn, diolch.
Very familiar. How are you? Morgan. Very well, very, thanks.
Mae Owen eisiau panas.
Is Owen wanting parsnips? Owen wants parsnips.
Mae'r athro eisiau rhywbeth newydd.
Yr athro with the contracted article. What is the etymology of blod vresich? Vresith.
Rhywbeth.
Vresich, I think it's a CH. Kol. Yeah, I would want blod. Bressich. Blauwd flowers. Look at that. Bressich, cabbage. Bressich. Brassica. There you go. Oh, so the blauwd for flowers. Think of bloemen as well as floos. I think the root is bel. Let's find out. Blauwd flowers. Blout. Oh, from mlatos. Nope, different one. Milch. Oh, is this the right flower? Flour or meal. Look at that. The ground flour is from mlatos, which comes out as blauwd. And the word for the blooming plant, obsolete now, is homophone. So in blah, yeah, also from this blatus, I think. Seems an excellent source. Blech or bel, I think the original one. So bloemen, floos, and this blah, Irish blah, here it is. From the same Indo-European root, to blossom.
Rhywbeth.
Now, urathro is the teacher, the masculine form. Eisiau rhywbeth newydd. And this was
Rhywbeth.
anything. I just can't remember. Rhywbeth. The teacher wants something new.
Dych chi eisiau cylchgrawn arall? Dwi eisiau rhywbeth arall.
I want something else.
Mae Megan yn bwyta blod fresych.
Megan is eating cauliflower. Almost there. Let's go ahead and finish this.
Ydy Owen eisiau coffi? Nac ydy.
Nakadi, the same verb
Ydy.
there. With
Nac.
does Owen want coffee? No.
Ydyn ni eisiau yfed gwyn?
Edin, ni. Is that you plural?
Eisiau ni.
We, just like Esperanto. Do you want to drink wine? Do we? And again, look at the identity of the verb final
Ydyn
form
ni.
pronoun initial. Dichi ydyn ni.
Nac ydyn. Dyn nhw ddim yn bwyta cinio heddiw.
Dyn nhw ddim yn bwyta cinio heddiw. Cinio.
Cinio.
No. We are not eating lunch today. They, yeah, not we. We is
Ydy Megan eisiau afal?
does Megan want an apple? Is the dog thirsty? Yes. Alright, idi is the only appropriate answer here. Let's look at the rest. Idir ki eisiau diod. Remember diod. Oh, interesting. Jug, drink. Diod, feminine drink. Does she want a drink? Does the dog want to drink? Yes. Nakadu, booyao. I suppose, but a D is really a form of B. It's a copulate. Boucher, I think, would be even closer as a rendering.
Ydyn. Dyn ni'n mynd adre.
Edin, din, nin, mynd adre. And this is toward the farm. It's like
Adre.
meaning homeward. We, yes, we are going home. No, she does not like the wine. Nakadu, nakadi. Did he? It's gotta have them. Do he them and hoffer gwyn? That's liking wine. That's it.
Ydyn ni eisiau ci?
Do we want a dog? Does Shunnett want some wine? No, she wants some water. Eddie Shunnett. No, it's gotta be eisiau gwyn. Nakadi. Maihi eisiau dŵr. It's a beautiful word for water. Dŵr. It looks like the second syllable of Greek hudor. Neuter, so that's nominative accusative singular. Looks like we just took that. It's even an omega, which looks like a W.
Ydy Sioned eisiau gwyn? Nac ydy. Mae hi eisiau dŵr.
Has that circumflex on it. Idi Shunnett eisiau gwyn. Does Shunnett want wine? Nakadi mahi eisiau dŵr. No, she wants water. Do they want a magazine? No. Cylchgrawn is the one. Edin nhw eisiau cylchgrawn. Nakadyn.
Nac ydyn. Dyn ni ddim yn mynd adre eto.
Eto. Nakadyn. And it's no, we are not. We are not going home yet, maybe?
Eto.
Yes. No, we're not going home yet. Do we want a dog? Eşyaki, edini eşyaki is the one. The to make it a question. Ni is the pronoun we.
Ydy Owen eisiau panas? Ydy Owen eisiau panas?
No, they are not eating lunch today. Bwyta cinio heddiw. Dyn nhw ddim yn bwyta cinio heddiw. That's the one. Do we want to drink wine? Ydyn ni eisiau yfed gwin? Ydyn ni eisiau yfed gwin? No, we're not going home yet. We are not. Ydyn ni ddim yn mynd adre eto. Ddim yn mynd adre eto. Nac ydyn. Dyn ni ddim yn mynd adre eto.
Nac ydyn. Dyn nhw ddim yn bwyta cinio heddiw.
Dyn nhw ddim yn bwyta cinio heddiw. Lunch or dinner?
Cinio.
Either one. No, they are not. They aren't. Bwyta, eating. Lunch. Today. Oh, I want to do some Turkish too. Let's do that. And I think we'll do a Turkish and then call it an evening. Don't want to go too long tonight. A little bit exhausted from my walk earlier. Got lots of sun. Let's do some review actually. Let's hear some basics.
Erkek,
Man. The woman and the man eat bread. Kadın ve to get my special characters. Kadın ve erkek. They eat bread generally. Bread is ekmek. And it's not going to take the accusative because it's not a specific instance but a general statement. And it's going to be yer. Kadın ve erkek ekmek yer. Nice. Kadın ve adam, also for man.
Bir kadın ve bir kız.
Numeral noun. One woman and one man. And a girl, rather. Okay, because it's a girl. A woman, bir kadın ve, oh yeah, it is, isn't it? In fact, Persian too, Farsi, the word and is spelled the same as the Arabic wa, but it's pronounced ve. Bir kadın, bir adam. Or erkek.
erkek ve kadın,
Erkek ve kadın. He drinks o rather. I think it's underlying the on, but it comes out as o, and then içer. İçe. The cedillas for the voiceless palatal stopper affricate, don't know.
adam ekmek yer,
Adam, a man, ekmek yer, eats bread. So zero ending, but the R is a suffix, and yer. The girl, kız. Su is water. İçer. İçer. Kadın su içer.
o içer,
O, he, she drinks. İçer.
Kadın ekmek yer.
A woman eats bread. Kadın ekmek yer. Kadın.
adam,
A man. Adam.
Bir kadın ve bir kız.
A woman and a girl is what that was. Actually, let's do an Esperanto too. and then kata. Then that will be it. And so delightful to learn Esperanto. If it'll let me. There we go. Useful.
Ŝi preferas skribi sur papero ol per komputilo.
She preferas, was it? Skribi.
Ŝi preferas skribi sur papero ol per komputilo.
Oh, let's keep an eye out for any double consonants in Esperanto. I think they are not present.
Ŝi preferas skribi sur papero ol per komputilo.
Per computilo.
Ŝi preferas skribi sur papero ol per komputilo.
Computilo. I wonder if that is. Levi says, after I did my Esperanto today, completed a year of Duolingo. 365 day streak. Impressive. Very good. Many bravos to you. Bravi. Bravissimo. On a computer. Computilo. Ŝi preferas skribi sur papero ol per computilo. Do you remember what the first course was that you started?
La kato ludas per la fadeno.
Ludas per la...
La kato ludas per la fadeno.
Fadeno, I think is string? Thread, yeah. Do you know this German word that this is based on? La kato ludas per la fadeno. Thread.
Per kio mi povas malfermi ĝin?
Per kio
Per kio mi povas malfermi ĝin?
vi povas malfermi ĝin? Do it badly. 300 days of Hebrew and then poking around. Nice. Per kio mi povas malfermi ĝin? Malfermi. Does this mean how can I open this? How can I open it? With what? Per kio? Alright, finish it with gold. Well, congratulations again. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you, I hope, tomorrow. Oh, I'm supposed to be knowing. But the last one I put in, fadeno. Do you know what it's based on? That Esperanto 2 entries up. La fadeno. Dong hidaya. Doing 13 languages, that's a follow. Trying to get to know my polyglots on here. It is der Faden, string or thread, a nice word. 6625. Alright, with that, I bid you good evening. 안녕히 계세요. See you next time.